Hey guys, I kind of wanted to talk about something a little personal, just because the time has come around, I guess. About 9 months ago, I had surgery on my shoulder due to a sports injury that happened back in high school a couple of years ago. This semester, I'm taking a course on sports and injury psychology, and so far, what we've learned has inspired me to tell my story of how I got injured and how I'm trying to make a comeback. I hope I can inspire you guys to find the same motivation that I have. I've been an athlete my entire life. I started playing soccer when I was about 4 or 5. I just played all throughout elementary school. When I got to middle school, I did just about every sport the school offered. I was in soccer, I was in volleyball, basketball, swimming, softball, you name it. We had it, I was in it. My athletic career really peaked when I was in high school. I was a varsity soccer player, I was a varsity cheerleader, I was dancing at a studio at the same time, and I was a varsity softball player. I was having a very successful year my junior year, especially in softball. I ended up batting a 600 and I made All-State. Now, this is not a video where I'm trying to brag about my athletic achievements. I promise I'll get to the story. I just wanted to give you a little more background. My senior year, it was November, which was the kind of the off season. And soccer was over. I was on the countdown for softball. There was a dodgeball game going on in the gym, and being the athlete that I am, I decided to play. About 20 minutes into the game, we had multiple games going, and I threw the ball and my shoulder completely just popped. I felt it pop. I didn't know exactly what happened, but I felt it pop and I went down to the ground. I was in excruciating pain because I had never really experienced this before. I was rolling around writhing in pain, and then I felt my shoulder just pop back into place. So it calmed down a little bit. I still ended up going to the hospital just to get it checked out. They really didn't have much to say. They just told me, yep, you subluxed your shoulder, dislocated your shoulder, and you just popped it back in. They gave me a sling that I wore for a couple weeks. After that, I started going to physical therapy for my shoulder. Softball season didn't officially start until March, so I figured I had enough time to heal up to play. The first day of softball practice comes around and I'm super pumped because, like I said, I had been counting down to this day. It's the very end of practice. We're playing Golden Glove. If you're a softball player, you know what I'm talking about. It's in the third round of the game. Field it right, I throw it, and I dislocate my shoulder again. I went to the ground because, again, it's excruciating to dislocate your shoulder, at least the way that I did. It went forward as opposed to back. After I went down that day, the first thought that came to my head was, oh my gosh, my softball season is over. I'm not playing this year. I was absolutely terrified of not getting to play softball my senior year. I end up going in to the clinic a couple weeks later, and I get an MRI done. They look at the MRI, tell me nothing's torn, that I just have a spiderweb fracture on the ball. You know how you have your ball and socket? I had a spiderweb fracture on the ball of my shoulder. I start physical therapy. I do it all of March, and lucky for me, I only had to miss one game. My whole focus was, okay, what do I have to do? When am I going to be able to get back into the game? Rushed my rehabilitation just a little much, but I did end up getting back into the game. For the next 2 weeks, I was a DH because I wasn't cleared by my physical therapist to start throwing yet. Finally got cleared to start throwing, and it took a little while to get back into the hang of it and to get my technique back. The last couple of weeks of my senior season, I was in left field and I was doing just fine. I was just really happy to be back in the game again. I still ended up making All-State honorable mention, and I made the All-Star team. Again, this is not to brag about my athletic achievements. After my senior year of softball, the summer goes by. I'm really busy working because I'm prepping for my freshman year of college. I really didn't do much physical therapy, which was not smart of me. I didn't realize what not doing it was actually doing to me. Fall comes around and I made the executive decision to try out for my college softball team. I warm up, stretch, throw, short distance, long distance, I'm doing fine. Start with some defensive drills. Go over to third base, and we're just doing reps, fielding and throwing over to first. About 10 reps in, my shoulder goes again. And I immediately thought, like, why? Why does this keep happening? Why is it me? Why me? Called my mom, and we talked about it, and I realized it was just time for me to hang up the glove. Couldn't do it anymore, or at least I needed to take a break. Fast forward a couple months to December. I'm home for Christmas break, and a couple nights after Christmas, I wake up in the middle of the night and I've dislocated my shoulder again. I dislocated my shoulder in my sleep. How does that even happen? I tried to put it back in myself, but I couldn't. Ended up going to the ER at about 6 in the morning to have them put it back into place and again give me another sling. Just before I go back to school, I met with a shoulder surgeon, and he evidently told me that I needed to have surgery. He looked back at my MRI and he realized that I tore my labrum. My labrum had been torn for a while and I didn't know it, which is why I kept dislocating my shoulder. Scheduled my surgery for after I come back from school. Fast forward to May 5th. And it's, time for me to have surgery. Come out from surgery, doing really good. Took my medicine like I was supposed to. Really didn't feel much pain afterwards. But I ended up wearing a sling for a month. After I get out of the sling, I started physical therapy again. The ultimate goal was just to get my shoulder mobility back. My subconscious this whole time is thinking, when am I going to get to play softball again? Fall semester comes around for my sophomore year, and I joined the cheerleading squad. I was really disappointed because I had to miss out on almost all the stunting that we did. I wasn't strong enough after having shoulder surgery. And a few weeks into the season, I honestly started to get depressed from not being able to stunt. This injury that I had had and this surgery, I had to fix it. I knew I was fixed, but there was still the subconscious that I was going to hurt it again. And I knew I wasn't strong enough and I didn't want to push myself. I ended up sitting out a lot of practices. And one day, we were given two options. We could do two different kinds of stunting. I made a comment out loud that basically was just saying, well, that leaves me out. And my coach pulled me aside and just said, what are you doing? I know you're angry, but you shouldn't be taking yourself out like this. That's when I realized that she was right. Well, this whole time that I was depressed, it was kind of my fault because I hadn't been doing my physical therapy. I was the one who was just staying negative and looking at my post-surgery and my injury as a threat as opposed to a challenge that I could overcome. I wasn't taking the initiative to complete my exercises and my rehab. It hurt me, not just, physically, but, mentally and emotionally. It was honestly then and that night after that practice that I decided I was going to clean up my act. My next goal was just to be able to get strong enough to the point where I could stunt again. This spring semester, I'm feeling a lot better about it. I started going back to the gym and I've begun my shoulder exercises again on my own. I know that it's going to take a lot of time, but I know that I can do something about it and I can strengthen myself again to get back to where I want to be. My ultimate goal is to be able to throw a softball again. Even if I don't play for the school, I still want to be able to play because it's one of my favorite sports ever. What's the point of all this? I want to help other athletes find their motivation and find the strength to continue and push through any injury or surgery that they might have had that they feel like is a setback. Don't get down on yourself. That's probably one of the worst things that you can do. I did it and I was depressed and angry for a long time. Do not stop your treatment. Take the time that you need to do it correctly and in order to bring yourself back to where you want to be. Again, it's going to take a lot of time, but it will help out in the end. If you have a goal, you can achieve it. You decide how you get it done. You decide whether or not you are going to achieve your goal. Always remember that you have support and that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. You have lots of family and friends and physical therapists and doctors who are willing to help you get back your strength and return to doing what you love. I'm still learning. I'm not saying that I'm an expert on this. I'm still learning about taking this journey through my rehabilitation and my strengthening to get back to be able to throwing again. I only want to help others find that motivation as well. Anybody can come back from anything. That doesn't necessarily only apply to injuries, that just applies to life. You're gonna get set back all the time, but you can power through it. You have all the resources and the tools to help you. It's driven me to a career that will help others in the same way that I'm trying to help myself. My ultimate career goal is to be a sports psychologist, and this is what they do. Sports psychologists help athletes who are injured and in the process of rehabilitation find and stay consistent with the motivation to get back into the game and just to feel good about themselves again. It's only one part of their job, but it's a really important part because there are a lot of athletes out there, again, who lose that motivation and lose the positivity and only know fear of being injured. I really hope that my story and how I'm trying to find my way back has inspired you to help yourself go out there and reach your goals. If it has, that's great. I hope I can continue to do that in a future career. And I hope it's inspired you to inspire others. You're not alone. As someone who finds identity in sports, I hope that there are lots of others who feel the same way and feel like they can come back from whatever setback. I hope you can find the positivity and inner strength to help yourself and want to inspire others. So thanks for listening. If you have any stories that you want to share, I would absolutely love to hear them. From one athlete to another, a setback is just a setup for a comeback. You can come back. Roll the dice, take a chance in life.